Edie, come in, Edie. Are you there, Edie?
Wow, Vancouver is so beautiful. I can't wait to see all the sights.
Oh, come on. These batteries must be dead. Edie, come in, Edie. Are you there?
Yeah, Jamie, I read you loud and clear.
Yes! That is incredible. These things are going to be so useful. I cannot believe the reception.
Yeah, that's great, Jamie, but I was just wondering.
What?
Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that we're right beside each other?
In this episode of CG Kids, we head to beautiful Vancouver BC on Canada's west coast.
We meet up with 13-year-old Holly Ann Ling and explore the city's Chinatown. And we check out some patients at the Marine Mammal Rescue and Rehabilitation Center.
Then we head above sea level, way above sea level, as we travel up Vancouver's Grouse Mountain to the Refuge for Endangered Wildlife.
In Jay's Geology, I figure out how a delta is formed.
6 seals, big bears, and bitty buildings, all on this episode of CG Kids.
Canadian Geographic Kids.
Vancouver, with a population of just over 500,000, it's the largest city in British Columbia and the third largest city in Canada, next to Toronto and Montreal.
Located on the west coast of BC, Vancouver is Canada's leading Pacific Coast port. And it's actually located almost exactly halfway between Western Europe and the Pacific coast of Asia.
And the other cool thing is that if you look around, you can see everything from an amazing mountain range, incredible waterways, and a cool downtown. People come here all year round to hike, boat, and ski, as well as bike.
You wait up!
Vancouver's a really cool city. It's actually surrounded by water on 3 of its sides. It's also overlooked by the coastal mountain range, which reaches heights of around 4,000 meters. Vancouver is tucked into the southwest corner of British Columbia, sheltered from the open waters of the Pacific Ocean by North America's largest west coast island, Vancouver Island. Vancouver is around 38 kilometers from the US border with Washington. Vancouver sits on a peninsula surrounded by the Burrard Inlet, the Strait of Georgia, and the Fraser River. This peninsula here is actually an extension of a delta from Canada's 5th largest river, the Fraser River. With the surrounding waterways along with the protection of Vancouver Island, Vancouver's port is an amazing sheltered deep sea port. Vancouver is also quite multicultural. Over half of the city's students have English as a second language. This area along here is known as Chinatown and is actually the 2nd largest Chinatown in North America, next to San Francisco. Jamie and Edie are right here on Vancouver's waterfront, and they're just about to head over to Chinatown. I sure hope they don't break anything. Get it? China? Break something?
We are at the entrance to Vancouver's Chinatown, and we're hooking up with 13-year-old Holly Ann Ling, who's gonna show us around the area.
We're supposed to meet Holly here at the really cool Millennium Gate, so I guess we better start looking for her. Oh, hi!
Oh, hi!
Hi, I'm Holly.
Nice to meet you. Very nice bumping into you.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Vancouver's Chinatown.
Yep.
Did you come here a lot?
Of course.
What for?
Coming here for great day shopping is excellent. You get all these accessories, dim sum, bubble tea, books.
So what's with all this, like, dried stuff? What's that used for?
Usually medicine, sometimes used for cooking. You know, dried mushrooms, shredded pork.
Oh, so in, like, soups and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yummy.
Next, Holly Ann took us to the narrowest office building in the world.
So this is historically known as the Sam Kee building, but it was not built by Sam Kee. It was built by Chang Toi after the government seized 24 feet of his 30-foot lot, leaving him with a mere 6 feet. And that's why it's known as the narrowest and most efficient building in the world. It's been recognized by Ripley's Believe It or Not and Guinness World Records.
Ann, I've heard that you can speak a bit of Chinese.
I can speak Mandarin. Well, a lot of my friends can speak Cantonese, but the difference is the writing is the same, but the meanings and the pronunciations are different.
So can you say something?
Well, a proper greeting is ni hao ma, and usually people would respond with 我很好 or ni hao ma.
Which mean?
I'm good, how are you?
Wow. Say it again for us.
Ni hao ma.
Ni hao ma.
Yeah.
And what's in the bag then?
That's all my kickboxing gear.
Oh, your kickboxing gear.
You're a kickboxer?
I'm a kickboxer.
After Holly Ann gets suited up for safety, she shows us a few moves.
First we have jab,
Jab,
and a good tip is to keep your shoulder up so you can protect your face. And then there's punch, and you just want to pivot your back foot and really lean into it to get a really
whole body.
whole body.
And then there's a roundhouse kick.
Yeah!
Why did you get into kickboxing?
Kickboxing is fun. It's an active sport. It gives you self-defense and confidence. It's great.
Self-defense, but what are you gonna do with these big red pillows on your hands?
Come on, let's go.
Wait for me!
Next stop, the Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden, which was built in 1986.
So Holly Ann, what can you tell me about this garden?
This is the only classical Chinese garden that's authentic, built out of China. All the other gardens in Canada are westernized.
What do you mean by that?
This whole garden was built without power tools, modern conveniences such as nails. It was all built by hand. It's not showcased for greenery as in for plants. It's more showcased for the balance of harmony and tranquility. Yeah.
So it's not really for show, but more to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, it is.
We looked for an interpreter or docent to tell us about the garden.
Hi, welcome to the garden.
Hello. You must be Diana.
Yes.
What is a classical garden?
A Chinese classical garden basically has to fulfill 4 elements. The first element being building. If you were to look around, all the buildings are life-size buildings. The second element is water. You can hear the water, it calms you down. The third element would be plants. And the fourth element, rocks. These rocks do not come from the Rocky Mountains or anywhere in Canada, but it must come from China, not just anywhere in China, by the way. It must come from the bottom of a lake, and that lake is called Lake Tai. Each rock is able to stimulate your imaginations, and everybody would see a different shape because of your own experience.
These rocks create a great texture. Is there a reason for that?
If you were to feel this texture, I would say that this is smooth. Now, what is the opposite of smooth?
Rough.
Can you find rough?
Right next to the smooth?
Okay. And I would also call that this particular rock here would be white. What is the opposite of white?
Black.
I'm giving you the opposites. Opposites in Chinese, it is what we call it as the yin and the yang. Once you are able to make use of the yin and yang concept, you balance up, your life will achieve that peace and harmony. And this is the whole concept in this garden.
I think we're getting this yin and yang.
We got shirts for sale, shirts, and one barely used sock.
Hey Eldon, what are you up to?
Edie, how are you? I'm trying my hand as a vendor.
And how's it going?
Well, good. Hey, did you know that in a traditional Chinese market you have to barter for things? In fact, it's insulting if people pay the list price, so give me a try.
Okay. How much for the shirt?
That shirt is $50.
$50?
Mhm.
I'll give you 20.
Look at that, that's Chinese silk there.
Try 100% cotton.
No, you can't believe everything you read, okay? It's $55 now.
Eldon, you can't barter up, you barter down. Now, I'll give you... Hey, wait a minute. I knew this looked familiar. This is my t-shirt.
Oh.
In fact, this is all my stuff.
You know what? It's coffee time. Excuse me.
Hey guys, it's that time again.
Time for Jamie to practice his sixth sense.
Which sense is that?
Your sense of balance. Actually, it's triviography time. And the question is, what is a Kersanese.
Kersanese?
And it's not a seaside town in France.
Mon chéri, don't you think that Kersanese has a beautiful view of the sea?
Ah, oui. Especially when the tide is in.
And it's not a rare breed of dog.
See if you can get the answer before Jay does.
Bon voyage! We're here at Vancouver's harbor. This port can ship out more than $29 billion worth of cargo in 1 year.
But yet, some of the most precious cargo doesn't always need the help of a boat to travel through the ocean.
The type of cargo that Jamie's talking about are injured, ill, or abandoned marine mammals, like seals and sea lions, who are brought into the harbor by both boats and trucks. These animals come from all across the western coast of BC.
This type of cargo can be found at the Marine Mammal Rescue and Rehabilitation Centre. The centre is part of Canada's renowned Vancouver Aquarium Marine Science Centre, but it isn't open to the public, so we're getting a very special chance to check it out.
Hey, Cheryl. Hi.
Who's this here?
This is Fossey. Fossey is one that came in orphaned. She was all by herself on a beach for a very long time, much longer than her mother would naturally leave her. So we rescued her and brought her on site and found that she was very, very small for her age, very underweight. So we've been working with her for a couple of weeks now to get her a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger so that we can get ready to release her again.
Why isn't there any water in the tank?
Seals and sea lions actually like and need to spend time on land. So for a small pup like Fossey, she's putting on more and more blubber or fat all the time that will help keep her warm and help her stay afloat. But while she's still building that, we don't want to stress her out too much by putting her in cold water.
Now it's lunchtime. The special today? Fish formula. Yum! It's made by volunteers who also help feed the mammals.
Oh, wow. You're just sticking it right down his neck, huh?
Yeah, it's just a safer way to feed them. When we're putting it all the way into their stomach, we know that they're getting every little bit of food or any medicines that we need them to get. They're getting it right into their stomach, and that's going to help them put on weight really quickly. There's no waste. I need to crawl in with you.
So are these animals fussy eaters?
They aren't weaned yet. They aren't eating herring or any other kind of fish. We have to teach them to do that, and some of them will pick that up right away. It's very quick. Others take a little bit longer. So this is our pre-release pool. These animals have each been here for more than a month now, and they're at the stage where they can eat fish on their own. We don't have to help them with that anymore. After they've been in here for a couple of more weeks, we'll start introducing live food to their diet so they learn how to hunt and how to capture live food as well. So once a day, we give each of these seals a vitamin fish just to make sure that they're in top health possible, just like us taking a multivitamin every day. So Darwin hasn't had his vitamin fish today, so we'll see if he'll come over for it.
Darwin, it's over here.
Right here, finally.
As they get older and older, we try to hand feed them less and less, so the only fish that they're taking from us is that vitamin fish. We're trying not to let them see us giving them all the fish, so we crouch down and throw them over the side.
I like this, undercover feeding. Hey guys, do you remember what the Geography question is?
What is a Kersanese?
What? What did you say?
I said, what is a Kersanese?
I think the word is Kersanese.
Maybe it would just be easier to send it to Jay. Jay, the word is Kersanese.
Kersanese. This is a type of landform we often refer to as a peninsula. A Kersanese is almost completely surrounded by water, but it's attached to a larger bit of land by another strip of land. If you look at Vancouver, you can see how it sits on a Kersanese with the Burrard Inlet, Strait of Georgia, and Fraser River surrounding it. Downtown Vancouver also has another smaller Kersanese, Stanley Park, and it's actually where Jamie and Edie are right now.
We've just climbed the highest mountain in Vancouver, Grouse Mountain.
This mountain is over 1,200 meters high and looks down on this fantastic city.
The first recorded people to hike up this mountain named it after the grouse bird. They were actually hunting for blue grouse on the way up.
That's weird. So you mean if they hunted a ferret, it would have been called Ferret Mountain? And if it was a chipmunk, it would have been called Chipmunk Mountain?
Yeah, I guess.
People are so weird.
You could say that again. But today there is no hunting on the mountain. Instead, it is home to the Grouse Mountain Refuge for Endangered Wildlife.
2 orphaned grizzly cubs now call this refuge home. The goal here is to eventually raise orphaned grizzlies in isolation so they can safely be released back into the wild.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea.
Excellent. Pleased
How
to
are
meet
ya?
you. Very good, thank you.
Nice bears.
Yes, we got Grinder here, and he was orphaned in Invermere in the interior of British Columbia. He was found alone on a logging road. He was only weighing about 10 pounds. He was very dehydrated. So it was presumed his mother was dead, since they don't generally abandon their young. The other bear is Kula, and he was found in Bella Coola on the coast of British Columbia. His mother was killed by a car. He was found at the side of the road with her. They're still cubs, so they don't become adults till they're about 4 to 5 years old. And they were put together when they were very, very young. So as far as they're concerned, they're brothers.
So do the 2 bear cubs get along well?
Oh, they get along excellently. They're playing a lot, they sleep together, they go everywhere together. They're just getting to an age where they're starting to separate off, and occasionally they'll go their separate ways, but they're pretty well inseparable. And occasionally they have arguments, just like brothers do.
Is it your hope in the future that you'll be able to release bears?
The government's policy at the moment says that nobody is allowed to release grizzly bears back. They agreed to give us these 2 grizzly cubs instead of destroying them, so that we can learn what we need to know about rehabilitating grizzlies back into the wild. What we have here is breakfast. The bears are fed about 2 to 3 times a day. And this is Grinder. Coola's just over there. And about 80% of their diet is vegetation. So we feed them carrots, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, apples, different types of fruit. Generally what we're doing is we're actually scattering the food throughout the habitat. Bears in the wild will spend up to 80-90% of their time looking for food. If you were to just give them a whole pile of food, they'd be done in 5 minutes, and then they don't know what to do with the rest of the day.
This cozy cedar cabin is actually the bear's hibernation den.
There's no bears in there.
There shouldn't
we're
be
good.
no bears.
Awesome.
Yep.
Welcome to the bear den. Okay, so this is where Grinder and Kula hibernated year before last. We have the cameras with the invisible infrared lighting up there. That's live on the internet at grousemountain.com. You can actually watch the bears hibernating during the winter.
What have you learned about hibernation?
Hibernation in grizzlies is actually not true hibernation with bears. They're very active during the winter hibernation period. It's more of a state of dormancy because they can wake up.
So how would a bear go about making a den?
Well, basically what they do is they go collecting branches like this that are about this size or even bigger, and they drag them in with their teeth. Then they'll use their front feet to scoop them into a corner.
And it's usually these pine needles?
It's this certain types of pine, usually the softer varieties of pine and the more aromatic pine. The First Nations people actually learnt from the bears which were the best pine trees to use for bedding, which was the softest and had the most aromatic qualities.
I'm standing on a man-made spit of land. Rock and earth have been piled out into the water to create this spit. Vancouver actually sits on a bit of flat land that was also built up, but not by man. Vancouver sits on a delta. Deltas occur at the end of rivers as they empty into the sea. They are created when river deposits of sediment keep building up. Rivers can be divided into 3 main sections: the upper, middle, and lower courses. The upper course, pretty high up, flows quickly and has a lot of energy. The middle course slows down a bit because the land is gentler. And by the lower course, The river is often wide and slow, and this is where the sediment gets dropped off. These different parts of the river work together to shape the land and form deltas. Let's go to the lab and see how. I'm going to make a model to show how rivers are constantly shaping the land around them. I've built a mountain out of rocks, sand, and dirt. A river starts out with fast-moving water carving out its sides, banks, and bottom. The force of the fast river carries the eroded debris downstream. This is called transportation. As the land levels out, the force of the river dies down. The river widens and becomes shallower, dropping off some of its heavier load, like bigger rocks. This is called deposition. By the time it reaches the lower course and mouth of the river, the water doesn't have the energy to carry even the small materials like sand and silt. So it drops these deposits and they build up into an area of low-lying land, creating a delta. The Fraser River Delta has been forming for 10,000 years. The river transports about 20 million tons of silt, clay, and gravel every year. Most of it gets dumped into the Strait of Georgia, but 3.5 million tons get added to the delta. Flooding is a big hazard on the Fraser River Delta because of how flat the land is. I've built a flood box so that we can investigate ways to prevent flooding. Normally, water moves out to the ocean by flowing down streams and rivers. But in times when there is extra water in the rivers, like in spring from snowmelt, the volume becomes too much for the river to handle. The river channel fills up faster than the flow can carry the water out. To help prevent flooding, dikes, long ridges of earth, are built along the sides of a river. Watch when I add the water now. Some of the water escapes, but the dikes keep my land from totally flooding. Other natural barriers to floods are wetlands. They act like natural sponges. Watch, some water still overflows, but it's absorbed by the sponges. Why did the delta retire after the flood? Because it was all washed up.
A fantastic fact about Vancouver is that its port is Canada's largest and most diverse, shipping to more than 90 different nations. In 1 year, it can ship and receive over 62 million tons of goods, valued at $29 billion. Everything from coal to grain to chemicals are shipped out, and more than 2,500 foreign cargo ships can arrive in a year. There are also 4 major railways that stop at the port, but the port doesn't just deal with cargo. Around 30 cruise ships depart from Vancouver, and hundreds of sailboats come and go every year.
Hey, Jamie, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, so where to next?
I want to go whale watching.
Amazing! So where are you now?
Look out your window.
Edie, where are you going? You were going the wrong way.
Actually, it's you that's going the wrong way. Catch you later.
I am going up the mountain. Oh man, who would have thought? Hey, what you reading there, buddy? That's a great magazine.
So the fish are used to the sound of the gong?
Yes. We actually have names for these fishes here. Like the big one over there, he is called Prince, and this is a Madonna.
Madonna. So they're all named after pop stars.
We are waiting for good names for all the other fishes, and perhaps if you do have any names that is good enough, just let us know.
Britney Spears? Oh, this is not for sale.